This is a step-by-step setup video for HPA 235, also known as Poppy. Let's get started. Once your camper is parked and level, you can begin the setup process. You'll want to unlatch the latches found on all four corners of the pop-up. Next, you are going to begin opening the pop-up. You're going to use this crank, insert it into the rear bumper, make sure it's in there nice and tight, and crank it to the open position. Next, you will begin by pulling out the bed on each end. Once the bed has fully been pulled out, you'll want to stabilize it underneath. There are two stabilizer bars. Simply pull it down. You have to push up a little bit and lock it into place on the rear bumper. Pull down the second arm, lock it into place on the rear of the bumper. Here is a closer look. And now you'll do the same thing for the other bed. And here is a closer look to see how the stabilizer bars were attached to the front. Next, you can begin by unlocking the door and latching it to the other side. Next, you will walk inside the camper to flip up your counter and sink. You will also want to set up your table and cushions. And this is what it will look like once it's done. Next, you will want to gently pull the canvas over each corner of the bed. Now you can step back into the pop-up and use this support bar to hold up your canvas. You'll want to push it all the way to the back of the canvas. And once in the correct position, it should look like this. Underneath each bed, you will find the crossbar that supports the center of the canvas over the bed. And once in place, it should look like this. Next, you will want to secure the canvas underneath each bed all the way around. Next, you'll want to start by bringing down your door. It can be a little tricky, but you'll want to just undo each strap on each side of the door. You'll notice on the end of the door are the cables that will stay attached to the door. As you bring the door down into position, these cables will slide along the track. You want to also make sure the door is released from the bottom. Once you have the door pulled down in the proper position, you're going to latch it with these latches on each side. And once complete, it should look like this. Then you'll want to continue all the way around the door and secure the Velcro. This is a table that you can secure on the outside of the pop-up. And once in place, it should look like this. And if you want to remove your stove to cook outside, here is where you would hook up to propane. On the driver's side of the camper, you will find your fresh water hookup. The camper does not have a gray tank, so when you run water down your sink, you will need to open this cap to drain your water. If you don't, the water will back up in your sink. And here is where you can fill up the small fresh water tank. You will also find a place to check for leveling of the camper. And at the very rear of the camper is where you will find your 30 amp electric cord. Simply open the cap and pull out the cord. Inside the camper, you will find 2 leveling pads to level your camper from side to side. Simply stack and drive your camper up on the pad. Next, you will want to stabilize each corner of the pop-up. Simply pull the leg down and use a tool that you will find inside the camper that looks like this. You'll want to slip it through the holes at the bottom and crank the arm down until it's touching the ground. To put the stabilizer back up, you'll want to push down on the lever and push back up on the arm. So that completes the setup process of the camper. When packing up the camper, you'll want to do every step in reverse order. Before securing the roof all the way down, you'll want to unlatch your door and lock it. And last but not least, make sure to remove the crank from the rear of the bumper. You'll want to turn this back in with your keys. And that completes the setup process. Remember, if you have any issues while on your trip, contact our RV Tech support line at 269-340-7937. Have a wonderful trip, and thank you for choosing the Camper Connection.